Kingsholm, the home of Gloucester rugby in England, provides the backdrop to the final match of Japan and Russia's November tour. This match carries added significance for when these two teams next meet. It'll be at the Tokyo Stadium on Friday, the 20th of September, which will be the opening match of the 2019 Rugby World Cup in Japan. It's a cold day here at the home of the Cherry and Whites, lying third in the English Rugby Premiership behind joint leaders Exeter Chiefs and Saracens. The two teams are about to enter the field on a cold winter's day here in the Midlands of England. So the stage is set. Japan, as we recall, scared England a week ago in Twickenham, and Russia, well, they defeated Namibia a fortnight ago as the new coach Lynn Jones looks to identify the combinations that will possibly be in charge in Tokyo in 2019. And of course, these people will host the Rugby World Cup of 2019. And everyone is looking forward to what is undoubtedly going to be a great event in the land of the rising sun. Plenty of for Japan, certainly, here at Kingsholm. A slight breeze blowing across the field. So we can expect some high kicks to be directed towards the respective fullbacks, Will Tupou of Japan and Vasily Artemyev, who leads the Russian challenge today. So the two teams have been out warming up. And the good news is that both teams start as selected. Some interesting combinations on both sides as coaches Jamie Joseph of Japan and Lynn Jones, who is just in his third match as coach of Russia in the run-up to the Rugby World Cup next year. So the final November international for both these teams on the November tour about to get underway. Just as a footnote, well, Russia have qualified automatically now for the 2019 Rugby World Cup in the place of Romania, one of three teams to suffer a points deduction for fielding ineligible players. And by Lynn Jones's own admission, Russia certainly have a mountain to climb in the next 12 months if they are to prove competitive at the Rugby World Cup. So here are the teams. Japan, Kaito Shigeno and Amaniki Lutohea make their first appearance in a Brave Blossoms jersey for 18 months, as Jamie Joseph makes 5 changes to the side that lost 35-15 to England. New halfback partnership with Rikiya Matsuda for Shigeno, while Lutohea is selected on the right wing. In the pack, Joseph has named an unchanged front row with Kazuki Himeno and Hendrik Tui, the new additions at second row and number 8 respectively. For Russia, well, blindside flanker Vital return to the Bears ranks for the first time in 4 years, and a side showing 3 changes from the one that defeated Namibia a fortnight ago. The other changes come in the backs with Vasily Dorofeyev replacing Dmitry Perov at scrum half, and Mikhail Babayev comes in for Denis Simplikovich on the right wing. Fullback Vasily Artemyev leads Russia out for a record 23rd time. Vasily Artemyev, as we recall, played a a season or two at Northampton Saints up the road.
Okay, let's go, guys.
Michael Leach is the Japanese captain. Vasily Artemyev leads out Russia. The Brave Blossoms against the Bears. And a knowledgeable crowd acknowledging the two teams as they enter the fray and prepare for the formalities in the form of the national anthems. No cultural challenges today, as we saw a week ago when Fiji took on Uruguay. Haunting strings of the Japanese national anthem. Now for a rousing Russian national anthem. Well, if the Russians are wearing their tracksuit tops, that gives you an indication that it's pretty cold here in Gloucester today. The Japanese, well, they're hardy souls. And that's their way to warm up in advance of this game, which could see Russia climb as high as 16th if they win by more than 15 points. And Japan can fall to 13th if they lose to Russia, and USA and Tonga also win. The referee for this afternoon's match is Frenchman Jérôme Garcès from Pau in France, very experienced referee. Sporting a nutty looking beard, or is it a moustache? Well, we are in Movember, mustachioed November after all. 45 years of age, Jérôme Garcès. Regularly referees the Pro 14, the Top 14 and the European Champions Cup, not forgetting international rugby as well. So he prepares to get the game underway. He smiles all round in the Russian camp, delighted no doubt to find themselves with one foot on the ladder to climb that plane for Tokyo in 2019. So Russia to receive the kickoff. It's a great performance by Japan last weekend at Twickenham. Well, they frightened England for the first half. Certainly they led for some 52 minutes before England woke up and scored 25 unanswered points in the last 22 minutes. And here's a man who can do some damage in the centre. He is Vladimir Ostruchko. And Jérôme Garcès waits for the clock to arrive at 5 minutes past 2 at Kingsholm, the home of Gloucester Rugby. We get the game underway. Vasily Dorofeyev, he is the Russian scrum half, 16 tests to his name, the 28-year-old. Getting his first box kick in to test the Japanese defence, which proved resolute last weekend. Will Tupou, the centre normally, dispatched specifically to deal with the high balls against England, and did so with aplomb. Shigeno, lovely sleight of hand early on, and that's brought the crowd already to the edge of their seats. So Japan showing their intent early on. I have no doubt that they will look to stretch the Russian defence, because they do play a high-tempo game. Lovely sleight of hand from Masakatsu Nishikawa, the flank forward from Suntory Goliath and the Sunwolves. We can look ahead to some ingenuity from Japan at the line-out. Let's see how the Russian line-out goes. Stanislav Selsky is the Russian hooker.
You move first.
With a top knot for Japan, that's Hendrik Tui. It's a little scrappy, but it's back on the Russian side in the hands of Vasily Dorofeyev. Gerasimov, the centre, pops it up. Big units in this Russian forward unit. Advantage here then for Russia, and away goes Babayev, the Sam's exponent for Russia in recent years. And Russia looking to get a firm foothold here in the Japanese 22. Japan have to be careful that they're not caught offside. That's Podresov, the tight head prop forward, doing some sterling work. Tagir Gadziev, 16 tests to his name. This is Nikita Vavilin. Can play at open side flanker or number 8. Good defense here from Japan. Great line speed from the Japan defensive line, as they showed against England last weekend, but they've coughed up a penalty here. Well, Russia won more than a three-pointer by the looks of it. They'll come again through the big men. Dorofeyev has to dig deep. He's pulled in Podresov, the tight head, not for the first time finding himself at scrum half. A neat little chip through. This could look promising. Under pressure, that's Kaito Shigeno. So Jerome Garces will call him back for the original defence. Tackler not rolling away. Shigeno, the scrum half, chosen ahead of Furukawa, very experienced scrum half. Well, speaking of experience, this man, Uri Kuzhnarev, can look back on 100 tests before today. This is 101st, and would you believe it? In those 100 tests, he's never faced Japan before. But he knows that if he gets the nod from Lynn Jones, he could be facing them for a second time next September at the Tokyo Stadium, when these two teams meet in the opening encounter of the 2019 Rugby World Cup. A chance here then for Kuzhnarev to open the scoring. Simple kick, it would appear, from in front to the post. And there is the opening score, claimed by Russia. They've had the lion's share of possession in these opening few minutes, and they lead by 3 points to 0. Kuzhnarev, 722 points for Russia before today. Gets the scoreboard moving with just under 5 minutes on the clock. Mark McDermott, former Munster hooker, is the forwards coach for Russia. And then it's that testing kick. Well taken again by Japan. Very well drilled by Jamie Joseph, the former All Black. Oh, well snapped up, quickly snapped up by Russia, who look to counter here. The hooker, Siliski, is in there. Quick ball, that's what Russia want, and they know. And they've already seen the quick line speed of the Japanese defensive line, so back it goes initially to the forwards. That's where their strength lies, certainly. But they have some players that can do some serious damage out wide. Some sevens exponents in that Russian back division. Morozov, the loose head. Kuznarev assumes duties at scrum half. Selski has seen quite a bit of the ball in this opening few minutes. In goes Hendrik Chui, the Japan number 8, to get his hands on the ball. Couldn't quite manage it on that occasion.
Advantage red, eh? Still advantage for red.
So advantage red, says Jerome Garces, so there could be another 3-pointer on offer here.
Keep going.
Dorofeev, the scrum half. Morozov.
Back feet.
Slowly edging forward, the advantage is still there for the Russian Bears. Another 2-3 meters gained. Yet another 2 through Tagir Gadziev, man from Dagestan. Now 5-6 meters out. Was that ball lost forward? Yes, it was. So Jerome Garces was playing a long advantage before calling them back to the original offence. And again, it was Japan not rolling away, the tackler not rolling away, and he was the Japan number 7,
Who is the 6?
Masakatsu Nishikawa.
Who is the 6? Yeah. 6 you, and I think you on the ruck. When you want to protect the 9, the ball is here. Don't go. Oh, okay. On the ball. Keep the ball is offside line. The ball. So
Yeah, be careful of that offside line, says Jerome Garces to Vitaly Zhivatov and Nikita Vavilin. Very powerful back row that the Russians have. And it's an experienced back row, average age just under 31. So Kuznarev, for the second time in the opening 8 minutes, eyes the posts, right-footed. Makes no mistake and doubles Russia's advantage. Just the start that coach Lynn Jones would have hoped for. So 2 from 2 for Uri Kuznarev. Correct myself, the average age of that Russian back row is nearer 26 than 32. So Japan, who hardly had their hands on the ball in the opening 10 minutes, as Rikia Matsuda. Japan out at half restarts. And again, it's advantage here to Russia. Arm out from Jerome Garces. The Russian player tackled in the air as Dorofeev once again sends it downfield. No distinct advantage. So Mr. Garces will call them back. Good take again by Will Tupou, the fullback. He was almost faultless in coping with the aerial threat of England. Certainly for the greater part of that game last weekend.
Play advantage, and after I come back.
Ludovic Kere and Nika Amashukili from Georgia, they are the referee's assistants today. Monsieur Kere from France, and Amashukili from Georgia. Now then, the kick favoured by Matsuda. Let's see how the Russians cope with the high ball. No problem for Kuznarev. The man from NEC-STM, the club in Krasnoyarsk. Two top teams in Russia, NEC and Krasnoyar. They play on either side of the river. Yenisei in Krasnodar. That's where the experience lies. Lotto Ahea. Tongan-born, 14 for Japan. Tackled out wide. And this time it's Russia being penalised for not rolling away. There is a breeze blowing across Kingsholm, the enclosed stadium. So Japan kicking for territory here. Safe enough, if not perhaps long enough for the Japanese forwards. That's Michael Leach. He's the captain, an inspirational captain for Japan. He made himself unavailable for national selection following the 2015 Rugby World Cup. Returned to the international fold in June 17. Matsuda up to the Russian 22, and that is the number 8 Henrik Chui. Started against Russia in Colwyn Bay in Wales back in November 13, when they defeated Russia by 40 points to 13 that evening, and he actually crossed for a try. Little step back inside from Nishikawa. As the Russian defense is tested here. There's a shadow side that lost to the Dragons, the Newport Gwent region of Wales, a week ago. As Lynn Jones, looking for his strongest squad. Very capable, the Japanese backs, and one or two forwards in there as well. Leach, the captain, quickly dug out by Shigeno. Chui, perhaps to use his weight, taken by Kuznarev, and there is a Russian player down. It's a member of the front row union by the looks of it, so there could be a gap somewhere here for Japan to exploit through Kazuki Himeno, the lock forward. Nishikawa to reach forward for that one. Japan looking for their opening score. Slow ball, so Wimpy van der Walt gets set to take it up again. The South African-born lock forward plays for the NTT Domoko Red Hurricanes. The Russian defense holding firm so far. Ball was out, says referee Garces. Good poaching there by Russia. They've turned it over, or have they? Well, Japan have it back. So play on, says referee Garces. The phase after phase, and that Russian player is still down and could be impeding play here. Oh, lovely hands. Oh, not so good. Not so good. Kenki Fukuoka knew that that try line was so inviting. Couldn't quite gather the pass. So a try goes begging. And perhaps he had one eye on the injured player as well. So there will be timeouts for attention to the Russian lock forward, Andrei Garbusov. Almost an interception, but that Fukuoka had to overrun the pass slightly, perhaps. Kenki Fukuoka. He'll never forget his roots because he shares his surname with his place of birth, Fukuoka. Vladimir Podresov.
What do you prefer? You prefer scrum or
from the VVA Saracens club in Moscow, playing under the...
He's here, Paul.
London Saracens Global Network.
Sorry, doctor.
Oh, sporting the spoils early on here, and that eye is almost closed.
Blue, stay. Stay.
Under pressure.
Hand in the air. Five blue.
Interference with a player in the air.
Hand in the air.
So Russia will get a full penalty here.
Yeah, kick.
Man down.
Yeah. It's not a scrum.
It's been a bruising opening 15 minutes from a Russian perspective.
Sorry? Yeah.
And certainly a head injury assessment required there by the looks of it. So let's look for the infringement. Yeah, pulling down on the Russian jumper. So the pressure lifted on that Russian try line. 2 early penalties then for Yuri Kuzharev. And Russia lead by 6-0 after 16 minutes of play. Selsky. 30th cap today for the Russian Bears.
What?
So the initial drive is halted.
Use it.
Dorofeyev prepares, plants that right foot. Superb. Good work by Japan. Good understanding between the winger and the fullback there. That's Lafayette, Timothy Lafayette. Someone born. Fly half or centre. Today at outside centre.
Under pressure. Controlled by red or feet. Controlled by red or feet by blue. Line out. Ash.
Well, Jamie Joseph will be extremely disappointed with the number of penalties coughed up by Japan in the opening 17 minutes, because for the third time I'm asking, Yuri Kuzharev eyes the posts. Lafayette taking it in and taking a little too much time for the likes of Jerome Garces. So Kuzharev. Starting his 89th test today. Off the bench for another 12. On the right side of the park for a right-footed kicker this time. And draws it in from the far upright. 3 attempts, 3 penalty goals for Yuri Kuzharev, and Russia lead Japan by 9 points to 0. Fukuoka was there giving chase at the restarts. And Dorofeyev.
Okay.
Oh,
Yeah.
didn't get good contact on the kick that time.
For the kicker.
And there was a man in front of the kicker. So tempting, isn't it? And again, look how quick the Japanese are to react. Looking to catch the Russians napping, perhaps. But
I'm here. Just
a little too eager, perhaps.
It's not difficult for me.
Very adept at retaining possession, usually Japan. There was Keita Inagaki, loose head prop forward. Going over the top there.
Offside. All the players. Yeah. All the players in front of the kicker. Good scrum, guys. The first one.
Selsky has a a little English. Offside all the time, he says to Jerome Garces. Jerome Garces has plenty of experience to deal with those offences. Little niggle between Dorofeev and Shigeno. Shigeno applying a little too much pressure for the liking of Dorofeev. Watch the offside, says Dorofeev, as if to echo the sentiments of his hooker Stanislav Salski. That's a great kick. Quickly taking Tupou. Now flows into midfield where he finds Lotoa here. Changing the point of attack. A lovely reverse pass from Lafayette. There he is again. Lafayette and Nakamura last week against England caused all sorts of problems in midfield. Referred to those two that there is a blossoming bromance, with the emphasis certainly on the blossoming. Ball well covered by Artemiev, the captain. Formerly with the Northampton Saints in the English Premiership, known then as the Northampton Rocket for his pace. 31 years of age now. Not quite as quick, perhaps. Again, it's the box kick from Dorofeev. Tupou. Oh, great interception. Great awareness there from Vladimir Ostrushko. Who else? The man returning to the 15s setup after 4 or 5 years with the Russian Sems. Gets Russia's first try. And drawing on all his Sems experience to increase Russia's lead. Vladimir Ostrushko, big, powerful runner, whether it's out on the wing or in midfield. Keep an eye out for the Russian number 13.
If I want to be very technical like this, your first player arriving here. So
oh, you might see that again.
Ruck is here.
Worth having a second look at it.
In front of the ball. No, they need to say behind the ball. Okay, so the first thing to change, it's your player, the right player, behind the ball. Now, when you kick box kick, okay?
So Yuri Kuzhnarev to preserve his 100% record. Kicked 6 out of 7 conversions against Namibia a fortnight ago. And Russia are looking good here for their 16-point advantage. So Michael Leach will need to inspire his troops somehow.
Behind the ball!
Advantage. Japan here, they need a score. Because Russia could well run away with this one.
Offside in front of the kicker.
Russia penalised.
In front of the kicker.
Offside in front of the kicker. A little indiscipline, lack of concentration perhaps. And Michael Leach thinking probably that a three-pointer is no good at this stage. Well, then again, it might be. I thought initially that he had indicated that he wanted the kick to go to the sidelines. Chance to draw breath anyway. 25 minutes into the game. You know, I suppose you have to take your points when they are on offer. And a wise decision from the Japan captain.
Yeah.
Rikeya Matsuda from the Panasonic Wild Knights.
Enough to lose his body weight. It is the first man. You know what I mean? Yeah.
There was a poor kick on that occasion from Vasily Dorofeev. So Matsuda steadies himself. Came off the bench against England with 10 minutes to go. Has kept the shirt. First chance for points then for Japan. And makes no mistake, does Rikeya Matsuda, much to the delight of the majority of supporters here at Kingsholm, Gloucester this afternoon. So, Japan off the mark, onto the scoreboard. Still trail by 13 points. Japan 3, Russia 16. Kuznarov kicks long, straight into the waiting arms of Hendrik Chui, Auckland born.
Back! Back!
Ex-Queensland Reds in Super Rugby. Artemiev, he had his eyes on the ball, didn't quite have his hands on it. Vasily Artemiev, educated at the University College in Dublin, and speaks English, or did speak English, certainly with an Irish accent at one time. Vasily Artemiev joined the Northampton Saints after the Rugby World Cup of 2011 in New Zealand.
It's good. Good scrum, guys.
Back now in his homeland, plays for Krasny Yar.
Crouch! Bind! Sit! Stay! Keep your bind!
Kick from Matsuda. This time, safe hands from Artemiev. Lynn Jones has probably been looking at all the videos and thinking perhaps that it's the kick and chase that will produce the goods for Russia today. Matsuda, it was up for the ball, and as he turned his back, the ball went forward. So it'll be a Russian put in.
It's finished now? Okay. Good scrum. What was good scrum? The last one was good. Keep walking. Crouch. Bind.
A lot of talking going on in that Russian scrum. Tight.
Okay, stay.
Arms bound, controlled at the back by Vavilin.
No.
Man from Vyslava Moscow Rugby Club, one of the strongest clubs in Russia. Andrei Ostrikov plays his rugby in the English Premiership for Sale Sharks. Ball lost, turned over by Japan. Little dink through from Lafayette, the 13. Left for Gerasimov. In comes Kuznarov once again. That is the Sale Sharks lock forward. Played volleyball at under 15 and was a star volleyball player before turning his attentions to rugby. Again, good line speed from Japan. Look how organised their defence is. Lafayette, leaded and abetted by Keita Nagaki, the prop forward, and with that tackle, that's a tight head prop. Ji-won Koo, man born in South Korea. Advantage blue now if they can move the ball quickly. They also in turn knock the ball forward. So it'll be the initial knock on against Russia.
Time off.
There'll be a Japan put in. Michael Leach. No player epitomised the courage and bravery of Japan last weekend against England more than Michael Leach. It was a gladiatorial performance from the Toshiba back row forward.
Yeah, but the problem is the scrum and the hooker. I cannot do. It's okay? I scrum here. Scrum blue. I say here again. Good scrum, guys. Good scrum.
Jerome Garces calls for a good scrum. Probably will have had a word with the forwards prior to entering the field. The scrums by and large have been pretty good. Hardly have we had a reset scrum. Lotto here. It's no change whatsoever from the Russian defence. Leach waits on the narrow side. It goes out on the open side. Some interesting patterns are forming behind the scrum or behind the ruck rather, for Japan. Need cleaner ball though. Matsuda just showing the ball this time perhaps. Fukuoka latches on into the Russian 22. Good recycling, quick recycling. And Himeno will have another go. Great work here by Japan. Now then, can they work it out wide where Lotua here waits? Over eagerness from Russia that time. It's still on for Japan here. Jerome Garces' arm is out. A simple three-pointer on offer. There could be space. Chui, he'll have a go. Use his strength. Lovely wraparound tackle from Daniil Potikanov, but it's still there. Fukuoka. Little Fukuoka dancing his way through the Russian defense. Not the best of passes. Lafayette. Great footwork from the center. And this time Jerome Garces will call them back. Patience is what's required. Accuracy as well. And I'm sure those two words will feature in this little lecture from the captain, Michael Leach.
10, please.
Offside against Tagir Gadziev. Now this is interesting. Thought for a second that Japan are going to go for the scrum, but it's Leach himself driving forward and through the Russian defence. Caught nothing. Oh, that is the inspiration that Japan were looking for, and they get it from their captain, Michael Leach. The Russians getting set perhaps to face the penalty kick, but Michael Leach had other ideas, and that try from the captain has brought Japan right back into this match. Look again. Some weak tackling there from the Russian replacement, Alexander Ilyin. I'm not going to stop a big man from that distance. Simple conversion, and Japan having coughed up 16 points early on and now back within one score. 2 from 2 for Matsuda, 10 for Japan against Russia's 16.
Number 10, right? Okay, actually,
Well, Jerome Garces suggests that a Russian player needs a head injury assessment, and it could be, yes it is, their talismanic outside half, Yuri Kuzhnarev. So on comes Ramil Gaisin, well, an experienced player with 39 tests. Can play at fullback or at halfback, another Russia's sevens specialist. Oh, well charged down there by the tight head forward Podrasev. Not so quick on the turn though, but great work by his colleague in the front row, Valeri Morozov, and forces the Japanese player to concede the touchdown. And Russia are back where they want to be, within sight of the Japanese goal line. Well-placed kick from the replacement, Ramil Gaisin. Well taken initially by Leach. Propped up there by Keita Inagaki, is propped forward. But it all went wrong from there on in. So Gaisin and Ostrushko. At 13-12 is Gerasimov. Can they conjure up a try here for Russia with 6 minutes to go to the break?
No. Guys, reset. Yeah, here, on the ground. Have a look. 9. 9. If it's stable, okay. No, yeah, but don't wait too long. Okay. Because after they collapse. Yeah.
Well, one looks back to the Rugby World Cup of 2015, and one aspect of play certainly which favoured the Japanese players was their technical capabilities at the set piece.
Crush!
Look how they go down as an 8 unit. They conceded a huge amount of weight in 2015, but they were on a par last weekend
Behind the ball.
on the scales with England. And look, they're shoving the Russians up and out of the scrum. Poor pass from Dorofeev. Once again, Japanese up too quickly in midfield, and Russia go in the hunt for their opening try to add to, not their opening try, but to add to their 16 points. Against the base of the upright will do. Gaisin marshalling his troops. The replacement outside half. The Russians pile in. Forwards again, driving forward hard and low. Standing out wide is Podresov, the tight head prop. That's a great hit coming in on the defensive line. Lost forward, perhaps?
I have no idea.
I have no idea, says Jerome Garces.
Okay. Leo,
We'll
please.
want to consult.
So I play an advantage against 7 blue offside. So I want just to check on-field decision for Ludo is no try, but check about the grounding, please.
Check the grounding. Let's have a look here. Keep an eye out for the whitewash there. Bodies everywhere. Great work by the Japanese captain, Michael Leach, to shield the ball carrier from the cameras. But there we are, the ball is there. And the Russian player is over the try line. Here we go.
Yeah, we don't have a really good angle to make the decision.
So this was the initial thrust. Keep an eye out for number 3, the tight head prop forward, Podresov, standing wide. The ball spilled out there, but it was Podresov on it very quickly. Now then, what is the decision?
Yeah, but if you don't have a very close angle, it's impossible to do.
What happened here? That's what Jerome Garces is asking. Was the ball lost forward? Dorofeev, diving for the try line, may have got there himself. Ball may have been lost subsequently. His arm is in the air. He's convinced that he's scored. Jerome Garces, not so convinced.
Confirm a clear running from on the field. So, can you confirm this or no? Or we keep the on-field decision? No point by when? Okay. Yeah. Yeah. And we do the so on-field decision, it was no try. On the video, it's no try. We come back here for penalty and 7 blue, offside, yellow card. Okay.
Ah, right. No try. But there is a yellow card
And we come back here.
for
Yeah.
Masakatsu Nikishawa. So Japan down to 14 men for the rest of this opening 40 and the top of the second half.
Wait for my whistle. Eh?
So Michael Leach given time to address his men. And Geisin from in front of the posts will attempt to slot his first attempt at goal. Yeah, the initial thrust came from the Russian scrum half, Dorofeev. And that's where the offence happened, right on the try line. Geisin with a simple penalty goal takes Russia out to 19 points to Japan's 10 as we approach the break. So the man dispatched to the naughty boys chair is Masakatsu Nishikawa. Coached for 2 years at Suntory by now England coach Eddie Jones. Just under 2 minutes to the break. It's been a good opening 40 for Russia, where rugby at one stage was a forbidden sport.
Back feet.
In 1949, the sport was labelled as being inconsistent with the moral foundations of the Soviet leader, Stalin. It's great to see that they will be back at the top table of World Rugby in Japan next year. Jerome Garces has been very strict on the breakdown, and more often than not it's the Japanese players who have been penalised. Now, will somebody have a fancy to having a go from here, I wonder? Ramil Geisin, I think, has asked for the tee. Great work by the Russian number 7, Tagir Gadziev. Had a firm grip on the ball. There's only one conclusion, one result after that. Let's see whether Geisin can rattle the uprights here and rattle the Japanese at the same time. Steps up. Oh, that's a great strike. That's a brilliant strike from Ramil Geisin. 2 converted penalties in as many minutes from the replacement outside half. And Russia lead Japan by 12 points, 2 scores as we approach the break. Japan down to 14 men. Jamie Joseph, the Japan coach, will have some stern words to say to his charges at half-time. Made a handful of changes from the defeat 35-15 at Twickenham last weekend. But it's the Japanese indiscipline which has cost them dearly in the opening 40. Geisin sends it away downfield, safely into touch. But the line out is taken quickly. Can Japan get a score before Jerome Garces brings a halt to the first half? The majority of which has been played in the Japan half of the field.
Offside.
Close to, and again it's
Offside red.
Russia this time caught offside. won the gain line battle against England in the first half a week ago. Tupou up from full-back. Normally a centre. Played at centre against New Zealand in Tokyo at the beginning of the month.
Advantage blue.
Still advantage here to Japan.
Blue. Back.
Again, marking back 1 week. They enjoyed the lion's share and territory and possession in the first half. The Japanese scrum half showing a little bounceability there. And no quarter asked and no quarter given in the tackling stakes as Tupou takes on Ramil Gaisin on the Russian 22. We're into referee time at the end of the first half. Japan just can't find a way through. The switch back on the narrow side. One or two burly Russian forwards making every ounce of weight count. Leach, Tupou did all the hard work. Looking for Fukuoka. He just can't believe it. So there we are then. We've arrived at the break. And Lynn Jones, the Russian coach, will be, I think, a little happier than the Japanese coach, Jamie Joseph, at the end of the opening 40. So Japan have it all to do in the second period. Leach playing the try for Japan, and Ostrushko for Russia, and that is the half-time score. Then Japan 10, Russia 22. So Ramil Gaisin, the Russian replacement outside half, prepares to get the second half underway. Russia leading Japan by 22 points to 10. And just a reminder that Japan are down to 14 men for another 2 or 3 minutes. Flanker Masakatu Nikishawa dispatched to the sin bin towards the end of that second half. So Japan have it all to do, and Russia, well, they've done their homework on the Japanese. Saw how England allowed Japan, or got embroiled in a fast and loose game, which ideally suits the Japanese players. Lynn Jones, the Russian coach, favours a little tighter game perhaps. Coach, former Munster hooker, and Sean Connor, former colleague of Lynn Jones down at Newport Gwent, some 50 minutes down the road from where we are today in Gloucester, England. So one try in that opening half for Russia through Vladimir Ostrushko. And the captain, Michael Leach, getting Japan's try, and Michael Leach wearing 6 today. There he is, getting up off his knees. He actually scored a try in that historic 34-32 win over South Africa in Brighton at the Rugby World Cup of 2015. And he readily admits that Japan don't have that many chances to play top-level opposition before the Rugby World Cup. But they will be mentally sharp, and they will have prepared thoroughly as they look to host the Rugby World Cup of 2019. Some 400,000 visitors expected during the course of the tournament. Lovely hands back inside. Nikita Vavilin with a headgear wearing 8. Russians so powerful in the close quarter stuff. Selsky, the hooker. Vavilin sets it back, a little help again from Selsky. That's Gerasimov from the STM NSA club. STM, an abbreviation for Siberian Heavy Machinery in English. Company that sponsors NSA STM, the rivals of Krasny Yar on the left and right bank of the Yenisei River, which flows through Krasnoyarsk. Just in case there are any NSA supporters watching, well, yes, they have the upper hand at the moment. But look at Japan here. They're going to break out of defense through Tupo to Lotuahea. Challenged and tackled by Babayev, but Japan still pressing forward. Through Will Tupo, can they get a score here? Inagaki, the prop, goes to ground, sets it up some 8-10 meters out from the Russian try line. It's much better from Sakati this time, the Japanese hooker. Russia have to be careful here, have to be on their guard. And they look again for the captain, Michael Leach. Vavilin goes in. This time perhaps Fukuoka dives for the corner. Didn't ground it, up goes the arm. That's a great start to the second half for Japan. And again, they're right back into this match. Well taken try, the breakout initially from their own 22 as Russia were pressing, and they get their reward. Very popular player is Kenki Fukuoka. 18 tries now for Japan. Selected for the Rio Olympics of 2016. And the only member of Rugby World Cup 15s in 2015 to make the cut. Japan, of course, stunned New Zealand in the opener of the Sevens World Cup in Rio, 14-12. Now then, can Japan stun Russia here? This conversion from outside half Matsuda to bring Japan back within 5 points, just the one try. Sends it high and true. Now we've got a game on our hands. Yeah, it was Russia's ball, but Fukuoka started it all with that tackle. Japan winning the turnover and sending it wide. Lovely final pass. Fukuoka, ball tucked under the outside arm. Great to see a winger do that. Not very often do we see it these days, I have to admit. Leach, 17, plays 22, and Japan send the kick down towards Artemyev. The captain is a little distant, isn't he, from the action as a captain. So he'll need to do some shouting in the second period. Russia are going to overturn that defeat the last time they met in Colwyn Bay in North. 3-10, 27 points the difference that evening. It's a cold Friday night, as I seem to remember, on the North Wales shoreline. Gaisin doesn't look as if Kuznarev is going to come back. He went off for a head injury assessment in the first half. We've hardly seen the Russian number 11, Danil Potikamov, got a try on his debut against Namibia a fortnight ago. Much expected of him. The youngster won't be 19 until next Friday. Clearance kick. Only as far as Artemyev. Good take by the Russian captain, going backwards. No one's ball until it was claimed by Michael Leach. Gaisin. Tight angle. So it'll be a Japanese throw-in. They actually played here, Japan, at the Rugby World Cup of 2015 and lost against Scotland. They won 3 games, but were still not able to qualify for the Cup quarter-finals. Played some entertaining rugby, did the Japanese, found a new audience and won a lot of friends at the Rugby World Cup 3 years ago. Now then, let's see what new boots might do. They fit like a glove, don't they? Final pass once again, finding Fukuoka, very quick out of the blocks. Evading 2 Russian tacklers, and had the presence of mind to take the ball round further towards the posts to make the conversion easier, which has meant that Japan are right back in it. And we know that they have the fitness, we know that they have the resilience. Russia going out a 16-0 advantage, a bit of a dog-leg defense there in the Russian ranks. Ostrushko with a tackle. Big Vladimir Ostrushko. He will punish you. Back. So Japan by now back to a full complement of 15. And the Sinbin player, there he is, number 7 on the open side, Nishikawa. Artemyev.
Stay, number 2. Stay here.
Gaisin takes it back into his own 22, can't therefore kick directly to touch. He doesn't really want to find touch either, because the Japanese lineouts was very, very efficient against England a week ago.
No hand.
In goes Gadziev, the man with a change of boots. He'll be easily spotted in this second period.
Stay.
Well, Artemiev has had to deal with 3 or 4 high kicks in the opening 10 minutes of the second period. Ball spills, spits out.
Back.
Podrisov, tight end prop forward. The VVA Saracens representative play at the Gagarin Air Force Academy base in Monino, garrison town just outside Moscow. Gaisin, a lovely flat pass, and another one, a hint perhaps of a forward pass. Giving chase is Potikhanov, the youngster wearing 11,
Back.
teenager. Scooped up by Tupo at scrum half. Shigeno. Forming a new halfback partnership today with Matsuda.
Stay here.
Surprising that Fumiaki Tanaka, the very experienced scrum half for Japan, is not in the 23 today. It's key to Japan's game plan in the first half against England. Quick ball, pinpoint delivery. Matsuda sends that one away and safely into touch.
Stay on the mark. The mark is here and you move. Stay the mark.
Michael Leach can afford to smile. I think he wanted a little greater advantage from that kick, from that Matsuda kick. Wimpy van der Walt, the Japanese number 5, climbs high. Moving from number 4 to number 5. Man with the long blonde hair. Belying his South African heritage. Petrus Willem Wimpy van der Walt, to give him his full name. That's very useful kick. Taking play to within 5 meters of the Japanese try line. Ramil Gaisin has done a good job since he's come on for Kuznarev. So that'll get a tick in the box from Lynn Jones.
Open.
Some ingenuity here, perhaps from Japan. Oh, it's stolen.
Number 2+1.
Yeah, numbers at the line out.
Move. Move.
Russia had too many men.
They start 2+1. You move.
2+1. Yeah. Well, that does make 3, but
The captain is the number 9. Captain is the receiver. Nine. Fine. Stay.
so Japan getting ready to make substitutions. Fresh legs, fresh impetus to build on that Fukuoka try at the top of the second half. And again, that kick won't go far from the boot of Dorofeev. And the replacement scrum half for Japan, that's Yutaka Nagare. A hurried kick from Artemiev, the pressure beginning to tell on the Russians. Artemiev, well, normally a wing three-quarter, that's where he made his name. So Nagare takes the place of Kaito Shigeno at the base of the scrum. Nagare, well, he came off the bench against England, and he is wearing 21. Stolen by Russia, and the Japanese line-out is usually very efficient. Good work by Michael Leach, getting in amongst the Russian forwards. Sure, untidy ball for Dorofeev. Fukuoka, the try scorer. Quickly into midfield. The crucial point in the game here now, and Japan bring it away through Hendrik Tui, the number 8, who scored against Russia 5 years ago. He's done it again. A brilliant individual score for the Japan number 8, Hendrik Tui, from the Suntory Goliath club, and he brings Japan back on terms. They trailed by 16 points, and now it's 22 points all. Game on. But some poor Russian tackling, it has to be said. Crossed for 1 of 5 tries 5 years ago against Russia. His 43rd test today.
Yeah, thanks.
And he started in that historic win over South Africa in 2015. So this to give Japan the lead for the very first time. Matsuda makes no mistake. It's 22 against 24. But perhaps we shouldn't be all that surprised with this break from Hendrik Tui, because would you believe it that he played on the wing once for Eddie Jones at Kingsholm against Georgia in September 15, in the last warm-up match before the Rugby World Cup. That's Hendrik Tui. There's a buzz around the Kingsholm ground now following that brilliant individual effort from the Japan number 8. So how can Russia respond? And here he is again. He's full of running as Tui. And this time runs into a heap of trouble in the form of Zhivatov, who's had a pretty quiet game by his standards. I've seen him play time and again on the sevens of the World Seven circuit, where he's been very, very competitive. But then again, there's far more room on the sevens stage than there is on the 15s, where he has to apply himself more often than not to the dark arts of the breakdown. Gaisin, right-footed. Matsuda. Called for and taken by Dorofeev, rather, scrum half. Tupo brings it out of his own 22. Gaisin again having dropped back. Engaged in the game of tennis, aerial tennis with Matsuda. Who's going to blink first? This time is Artemyev into the wide open spaces. Not really. Fukuoka, the danger man. Oh, neat little chip. Potikanov had it well covered though. Well, it's interesting now, isn't it? Russia want to play the tight game. Japan quite happy to play it fast and loose. Gaisin almost charged down. Lovely work. Now then it's Ostrusko. This is what he does best. Will go all the way himself, but he had 2 men outside him as he butchered a certain score here for Russia. I bet that Lynn Jones is tearing his hair out. Gaisin, the little cross kick could still work out. There's a big burly hooker there, and that is Stanislav Selsky, and Russia have struck back, much to the delight of the Russian hooker. Brilliant stuff. Well, I'd love to go back further. That breakout from Vladimir Ostrushko, the wavy, mazy run. But what a well-placed kick that was from Ramil Gaisin. And by tonight, when Selsky gets to the bar, that run will have been 50 meters. So, Japan will have to think again. Very difficult kick this and for Ramil Gaisin. For a right-footed kicker, right from the right-hand touchline. You know he's got the distance. That was always going to happen, wasn't it? But Russia, once again then, have the advantage.
14 blue.
As Jamie Joseph rings the changes. Lotto Ahea is the man being replaced when Jerome Garces can make himself heard. 22, that's Yu Tamura. Yu Tamura, fly half. So we'll have to see who's gone out to the right wing if Tamura has come on. Just wondering whether Matsuda has stepped out one. Japan in a phalanx across the field. Dorofeev wanted some bodies there to shield him. Good work by Hendrik Tui, getting two hands on the ball. It'll be a Russian line-out. Japan may well compete for this one. As we reprise this try again from the Russian hooker Stanislav Selsky. Placement for Russia is Evgeny Matveyev. Celebrated 50 tests against Namibia a fortnight ago. Matveyev is on for Selsky. Ball didn't go forward. So some timely substitutions, but what happens this time, usually in a game when the substitutes come on, of course, well, the play breaks up somewhat. Let's have a look at this try again. Look at the determination on the face of Hendrik Tui. Get off the bus, he says to Ramil Gaisin, and he's not the only one.
8 and 5.
Leaves a trail of destruction in his wake. Hendrik Tui, and he'll be a popular player once the Rugby World Cup arrives in Japan. Replaced, his work is done. Well, it was Himeno who started at number 8 last week. He's moved up to lock a week on. Dorofeev runs into the replacement. Isileli Nakajima from the Kobelco Steelers, winning his first cap today. One of 3 uncapped players on the bench. It looks as if Jamie Joseph is going to give them, all of them, a little game time. Number 20, that's Nakajima from the Kobelco Steelers, now the home of Dan Carter. World Player of the Year. Was the ball out? 19 on for Russia, that's Alexander Eileen.
Good scrum, guys, eh?
Eileen from the Krasnaya club.
Crouch! Bind! Sit!
It always happens, doesn't it, when you have replacements coming on in the front row wanting to prove themselves.
Keep the it.
But Inigaki's been there from the start, as indeed has the Russian number 3, Andrei Ostrikov.
The first scrum that we play like this.
There is Matveyev marking his territory, the Russian hooker. Weighing in at 105 kilograms, not the heaviest hooker. Stretching every sinew, every muscle. Scrum collapses on the far side.
Under pressure.
Under pressure. And that's what fresh legs does for you.
Number 3, tight head.
Tamura from the NEC Green Rockets and the Sunwolves. Sunwolves, of course, play in the Super Rugby in the Southern Hemisphere, and credited for much of the improvement in rugby in Japan in recent years.
Yeah. 1 and 8. 1.
Tamura was first capped against Kazakhstan in Almaty back in 2012. Today he wins his 53rd Test cap. So the subs are coming on thick and fast. That's Anton Saishev
60 minutes.
from the Metallurg club. And that's in Kemerovo Oblast, located in southwestern Siberia. 17, Sergei Sekisov, another VVA Moscow representative. He celebrated his 32nd birthday last week. A mixture of experience and youth in this Russian side. Fukuoka coming in off the left flank, looking for his second try. Great clearing out here. Nagare at scrum half. There he is, little Yutaka Nagare. Tends to take one step too many off the ruck, does Nagare. Not quite as swift, perhaps, as Tanaka and Shigeno. Tamura. The pass is being sprayed out wide into the hands of Himeno. The look forward, hint of a forward pass, more than a hint of a forward pass. As Japan will have to come back, Matsuda will be denied. Jerome Garces on the spot, in line with that pass.
No. Clear forward pass.
Clear forward pass, says the referee.
Time off. Number 1, blue.
Have a look at the 22. Yeah, Tamura was in outside the 22. And Matsuda way inside. Japan will play in a group that comprises Ireland, Scotland, Russia and Samoa at the Rugby World Cup. Masataka Mikami comes on for Inagaki at loose head. One of the few that started against Russia 5 years ago in that 43-10 win. 35 tests now for Mikami. Looks as if it might be a much closer affair today, 5 years on. Japan 24, Russia 27.
If you wait after the scrum collapse.
He's had a good game as Vladimir Podrisov.
Crush! Bind! Sit!
Great scrum again from Japan. And again up very quickly from the defensive line.
First man on his feet, he stays strong. He survived on the clean out.
Russia under pressure, and no surprise to see Tamura going for a three-pointer here to draw the game. But Tamura, Lafayette, Nakamura, they can all play 10 and 12. It's been a problem area for Jamie Joseph, that number 10 shirt. The incumbent is Matsuda. But it's Tamura now at 10, Matsuda having moved out to the wing in place of Lotto Ahea. So to tie the scores for a second time, Yu Tamura. So there we are then. It's tied up again at 27 points all. And Yu Tamura won't need me to remind him that he missed a simple conversion 12 months ago in Paris, which would have secured a famous win against the French, but it ended 23 points all last November. Russia kick long from the restart. Taken by Odo, another uncapped player coming into this match, wearing 19. Almost a great take from Gaisin. Did he lose the ball forward? Yes, he did. The brave Ramil Gaisin. Well, if Lynn Jones had any questions about the depth at fly half, this young man has answered those doubts in spades today. Yeah, thumbs up. .21 for Russia now, that's Dmitry Perov. Another player with plenty of experience on the sevens circuit. Very often the captain of Russia's sevens. He's now 34 and made his debut for the for sevens in London back in 2005. A little over-eager, as is the tendency when you come on and want to make an impression. So we go into the last 10 minutes of this match, a match which seemed as if Russia were going to run away with it at one stage at 16-0. Japan clawing their way back into the game, 12 points adrift at half-time, and then that try from Fukuoka at the top of the second 40 certainly brought the game to life. And what about that try from Henrik Tui? Michael Leach, captain fantastic. So Tamura, kick for distance and for a platform here. We look to put it as deep as possible inside the Russian 22. Sends it sailing down. Going to raise his flag, I wonder. Right on the 22. A little too far possibly for a driving line out. There's a great understanding though between Atsushi Sakate and his jumpers. Lovely flat pass finding Tamura on the Russian 22. Looking for a gap perhaps, so probing round the fringes. Nagare. There he is again at the heels of his forwards. Tupou up from full-back. Japan have to retain possession here, and they do so through Nakajima. Can Russia weather the storm? Tamura has a quick look, a little kick through meant for Fukuoka perhaps, but the hooker was there, never mind, it's Leach plummets over, and would you believe it, it's a captain's try. I'd work a little harder for that one than he did in the first half, but he's such an inspiration. Michael Leach and he's given Japan the advantage in the final minutes of this match, a match that seemed out of their grasp at one stage, but they clawed their way back in this match in the second half. Whatever Jamie Joseph said at half-time, it certainly worked wonders, and this guy once again has worked his magic. Michael Leach. Good passages of play, then that little chip through from Yu Tamura. The hooker Sakate was there. Look at the power of Michael Leach, bouncing off the youngster, the wing three-quarter for Russia, Daniil Potikhanov. And, well, it's captain on captain, isn't it? Artemiev with a tackle, but ploughing through was Michael Leach. Oh, it's been a great game of rugby. So Tamura, right-footed from the near touchline. Deathly hush around Kingsholm as Tamura addresses the ball, snatched a little of that one. So the game is still within Russia's grasp. They struck back following that Tui try. And let's see whether they can do so again. Jamie Joseph today, well, he's turned to youth for this final game. 3 uncapped players on the bench, and they're all 3 on the field by now. Yusuke Kajimura, the latest to win his cap for the Brave Blossoms. Leach secures possession then for Japan. 5 points their advantage, 6 minutes to the final whistle. As the shadows lengthen over Kingsholm. And Russia, well, they made a good fist of it. They've not had much game time as a squad since Lynn Jones took over a couple of months ago. Just about lands on the field of play, taken by Tupou. And there is the youngster, the latest uncapped player, Yusuke Kajimura. He's looked upon as both an inside and an outside centre, and another top league rookie this season. There we are. So 3 uncapped players on the bench and all 3 now on the field. Looks the business, doesn't he, Yusuke Kajimura? Plays for the Suntory Goliath club. Anton Drostov is down at 3 now for Russia. Need to get their hands on the ball. Tamura will force them to run the ball back from their own half. Back there is Artemiev, again under pressure. Kneels the lineouts for Japan. So Tamura tells his forwards exactly what he wants, marshalling his troops out wide. So at inside centre next to him is the newcomer Kajimura. Japan want to make their, what might appear to be the final substitutions here. Hooker and prop will go off. 16 and 18 coming on. 16 Kozuke Hirikoshi and Hiroshi Yamashito is at 18. Hooker and prop for hooker and prop. Yamashita is a recalled veteran. He was on the bench that day 5 years ago. 16 Horikoshi is a hooker but has played at loose head prop in his first season of top league in Japan. Graduated from the under-20s squad. Michael Leach latching on. Could be another score before Jerome Garces blows the final whistle.
No!
3 minutes for Russia to steal this one. It's been a very competent performance from Japan in the second half. They've upped the tempo. Russia will have to come back. Dmitry Perov.
With the flag. Back.
The first intervention from
With a clear neck roll by blue.
from the referee's assistant, and he is Ludovic Keret.
Neck roll, penalty.
Clear indication from Jerome Garces. The neck roll, that's dangerous play. Sometimes called the crocodile roll. It's a more graphic description perhaps than a neck roll.
Nice. Okay.
The player left in no doubt as to what the referee means. Number 23 on for Russia, that's Sergei Trishin. We've harped on about Sevens players and former Sevens players, or Trishin is another one. Japan, well, I thought the Japanese player had both hands on the ball there. Oh, a rare lapse of concentration from Ramil Gaisin. Well, he'll be disappointed with himself. Still time, but it's a Japanese put in at the scrum.
Now 2 minutes.
So an intriguing contest, drawing to a close. These two teams will meet in the opening nights of the Rugby World Cup in Japan in 2019 at the Tokyo Stadium. I wonder whether it'll be this close. Russia have a lot of work to do, but Japan in rude health. And that man, Michael Leach, will lead them again into the World Cup, having returned to the international fold in June 2017, having made himself unavailable for selection following the 2015 version. Into the final minute then. And those tries from Fukuoka, Tui and the captain Michael Leach over for his second would appear to have done for Russia. Far more disciplined approach from Japan in the second half. They coughed up a whole host of penalties in the opening 40 minutes, which gave Russia the opportunity to strike out to a 16-0 advantage. And that interception try from Vladimir Ostrushko. Scrum goes to ground, picked up at the base from Isileli Nakijima. Tongan descent. Nagare, no hurry, out it goes. Have we arrived at full time? Yes, we have. Jerome Garces blows the final whistle, and that man, Michael Leach, has led his team. What a comeback. 2 tries for the captain when all seemed lost at one stage. Japan focused on their discipline in the second half and scored 3 tries, which has meant a full-time result of Japan 32, Russia 27. Handshakes all round. Strushko with that try in the opening half, extending Russia's leads. Confirmation of the full-time score then. Japan 32, Russia 27.
Well done.